Hi everybody, welcome back. We're here again with Dr. Serrano, and today's question is about hunger. And I've always felt like hunger was a little tricky because, for example, you might get somebody that's used to eating too much, and then you take a little bit of food out, and they're hungry and they're miserable, and I don't know that that's a bad thing. They're eating too much. And then, some people probably should eat when they're hungry, so it's always been an interesting question. And today we want to find out what Dr. Serrano's perspective is on hunger. So take it away, sir.
Okay, hunger for me is, in actuality, is a preservation mode of the body. Now, that used to be in the old times when we didn't have supermarkets, we didn't have food accessible to us. So what happened was, hey, I got hungry, I got to go hunt. Because it was a driven way. Actually, hunger is what makes us move from one place to the other because we have to follow the food or we'll die. Now hunger becomes habituation, meaning that it's 12 o'clock, oh, I'm hungry because it's 12 o'clock. So it doesn't work the same way. So what I told you before then, John, is 50% of it is mental, 50% is some kind of physiological drive, meaning some adenopectin, ghrelin, insulin, hormones that are causing us to be hungry because we need it. Now, I told you it was disease dependent because a diabetic patient that injects insulin might get hungry is because they actually require food because the sugars are coming down. So that's a physiological protection mode. Now, there's people that, oh, it's noon, I gotta go eat lunch. Those people are freaking stupid. You should not eat because it's noon, I'm hungry. They get mentally hungry because of the time. And actually, they have done studies in which they shift the person's times, in which they said, oh, we're going to keep you awake at night. And the hungers were actually related to the amount of time that were going in between. Was it because they're used to that time, or was it because they were really hungry? And actually, it's because it was just based in the number of hours, not because they were really hungry. Now, the best example I can give you of this, and hunger is also dependent on the foods you eat, but if you go eat Chinese food, an hour later you're freaking hungry, starving again. Or at least most people are, is because Chinese food elevates your sugars, elevates insulin levels, drops your sugars go down, you get sleepy, tired, so the body's telling you, I'm hungry again. Is that a protective mechanism, or is it just a way to the body responds to what happened to you hormonally? And remember, we talk about the hormones. That's why. Now, the truth is when you eat pizza, and you eat pizza now, and 12 hours later you're still full, because fat causes you to be full, and it takes longer time to get hunger. Now, why? And I want to ask the people this: why do I get hungry every 4 hours? It's absolutely dependent on your hormones. It's absolutely dependent on what you eat. So, of course, those people that are hungry all the time, one or two reasons, John: they're not eating enough, or two, they're not eating enough fat.
Low fat, right?
So that is absolutely arsenic. Okay. Now, most women, when they're hungry, this is a very key for what your diet does. When they go eat, when they're hungry, what do? Oh, I'm hungry, I don't want to eat fat. What do? Eat fruits. Well, welcome to Fat City. That's the way to do it. In reality, fruits were seasonal. We change with the season, also change where we depend on where we were. So people now, they're bananas every day because we go get it from whatever is in the supermarket. No, bananas are, even in Puerto Rico, they grow at a certain time. So during that certain time you eat them, then you shift to grapefruit, to avocados, to whatever is the season of that fruit. But people don't believe that, and that's the problem.
So I think a good way to summarize it then would be just because you're hungry doesn't necessarily mean you have to eat. A lot of it's mental. And then the other part of it is going to be physiological.
Yes.
You mentioned ghrelin, which is so you wake up hungry, so that's a physiological response. Insulin, that's a physiological response. And then, okay, so the third thing would be the type of diet. So if you could expect to be really hungry. If you're
that's a great example that you brought, breakfast. 80% of people don't eat breakfast. Why? Because they went to bed, okay, and they go eat, the sugars go up, they go down, their cortisol level kicks in, your sugar comes up again because it's morning time, they get up and they don't want to eat. That is a time and place that you might not be hungry, but you should eat. Do you see what I'm saying? So you must manipulate your own hunger. So manipulate it, because when you don't eat breakfast in that morning, you break down muscle, you don't have no fuel, so that's when you become insulin actually insensitive. So that is a perfect example on a case that most people are not hungry is because they're trained not to be hungry. Oh, I got to get to work. So what do? They drink a cup of coffee. Now, a coffee will stop your hunger because what does it do? It's adrenaline levels. Yeah. It releases sugar and triglycerides, so that eliminates your hunger. That is not a true elimination of hunger. It's just metabolically the body's telling you, I'm not hungry, I don't need to eat.
Okay. All right. Some good tips. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.